Welcome to the lesson on adding and subtracting negative fractions. So what I want you to know is that the same concept applies as if you are adding and subtracting negative numbers. So let's begin this lesson. Okay, so for the first problem, we have 1/4 plus 2/5. So before you add fractions, you need to have a common denominator. So the common denominator is 20. Okay, so we multiplied 4 by 5 to get 20. So whatever you do in the denominator, you must also do in the numerator. So that means we also have to multiply the numerator by 5, which is 5. And then taking a look at the second fraction, we already have 20 here. We multiply this 5 by 4. Same thing in the numerator. 2 times 4 is 8. So our result here is 13/20. Okay, so on to the second problem. So notice we have a negative fraction and we have a positive fraction. This negative sign out here belongs to 4/5, whereas this positive operation belongs to 7/30. So let's go ahead and add these fractions by finding the least common denominator. So we know that's 30. Okay, and so we multiply 5 by 6 to get 30. So 4 times 6 is 24. So make sure you watch your signs here. So we can say that 24 minus 7 is 17, but it's not just 17, it's actually negative 17, right? So we'll just place this over 30. And usually when you see fractions, you'll have the negative sign out in alignment with the fraction bar, okay? So this is equal to negative 17/30. Okay, so what about number 3? So before we subtract the fractions, we have to have a common denominator, which is 8. Okay, so we have 5/8 here. And then we multiply 4 by 2 to get 8. So that means we also have to multiply by 2 in the numerator as well. So that's 2. So this is equal to 3/8. Okay, so for number 4, we have a negative fraction and we have a plus minus, right beside each other. So we know this is going to be a minus. So let's just rewrite this. So we have negative 5/6 minus 2/3. So now we are subtracting, or we're adding two negative fractions, right? So let's go ahead and find the least common denominator. So in this case, that's 6. So let me move this over just a little bit more so we can get the negative sign there. So we have negative 5/6 minus, and then we have 3 times 2, which is 6, and then 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so now we can add the negative fractions. So remember, we're going to have a negative fraction for an answer here. So that means our answer here, if we add across the numerators, negative 5 plus negative 4, that's negative 9. So that's negative 9/6. And then you can reduce or simplify the fraction. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So negative 3/2 is our answer. Okay, so what about number 5? So for number 5, we have the same thing that we've done here. We just have to find the least common denominator before adding the negative fractions together. Okay, and then this is negative. This will be a 9 in the denominator. So 3 times 3 is 9. That means 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, just bring down your denominator of 9 here. And as you can see, we're adding the numerators, right? So we know that this negative sign right here belongs with the 6. It has nothing to do with the denominator, okay? So we have negative 7 plus negative 6, which is equal to negative 13. And you can place the negative sign in the numerator, but it's more common to see it written this way. So we have negative 13/9. Okay, so what about this one? We're going to squeeze this right here. Okay, so we have 6/7 minus negative 5/7. Okay, so remember when you have two negative signs next to each other, it becomes a positive. So just rewrite this as 6/7 plus 5/7. So this is equal to 11/7. Okay. Okay, now let's go over two more problems. We have negative 4/5 minus negative 2/15. So if you notice, this negative sign right here belongs with the fraction 4/5. So just bring this down. And notice we have two negatives right next to each other, so it becomes a positive. So this is positive 2/15. So our least common denominator here is 15. Bring down your negative here. We multiply 5 by 3 to get a denominator of 15. So 4 times 3 is 12. Be careful with your signs here. This negative right here belongs to the 12, and this plus belongs to the 2. Okay, so we're going to add negative 12 plus 2, which is negative 10. And the reason why it's negative 10 is because we always append the same sign as the larger value. So notice 12 is larger than 2, and its sign is negative. Therefore, the answer will also be negative. Okay, so we have negative 10/15. So notice this can be simplified even further. So we have 10 divided by 5, which is 2. And 15 divided by 5 is 3. So our answer here is negative 2/3. And for the last one, we have negative 5/8 plus negative 7/12. So we know that the common denominator is 24. And then we have a plus minus next to each other, so it becomes a negative. Okay, so what did we do to the 8 to make it 24? Well, we multiplied it by 3. So we also have to multiply 5 by 3, which gives us 15. We multiply 12 by 2 to get 24, so we have to multiply 7 by 2 as well, which gives us 14. So notice we have two negatives here. This negative belongs to the 15 of the numerator. This negative belongs to the 14 of the numerator. So remember, we don't do anything with the denominators at this point. So whatever signs or operations you see belong to those numbers in the numerators. So we have negative 15 minus 14, and that's equal to negative 29. So our answer here is negative 29/24. So that's all we have for this lesson. Hopefully it was helpful to you, and I look forward to working with you in the next lesson. Take care.